All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Sportsmen, our first time doing two a week. This is part two, if you will, our Friday episode, part two.
Two.
As you can see right now, it's just me and Mikey. Joe's got something going on, but he's going to hop in here somewhere in the middle. And then I think we may or may not, depending on how long we go, lose Michael at the end, and then Joe and I will finish up. Mikey, I mean, I know we ran an impromptu little sports last night after a little live that we did on your end. But we'll get into things a little bit more formal. But I'm interested to see if you have the same opinions from last night as you do today.
Probably not, and I'm very concerned about that. I should have documented what I took because I guarantee. Now, that's good. So you give me the high sign when I go against something that I picked last night, but that's fine.
Let's start with the Saturday games. We got two of them this week. We've got the Bengals heading to Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati is giving 2 points over under 36.5. Mikey, what do you like there?
Well, you're getting Kyle Rudolph, no Mitch Trubisky. You got no Jamar Chase for the Bengals. But, to me, T. Higgins look like T. Higgins is as comparable at wide receiver one in this league as anybody. I think he could go to a lot of teams and be the guy. He just happens to play with Jamar Chase, but I think the margin between their abilities and skill and ceiling is razor thinner than people think. Jake Browning to me listen, he was my problem this week in a good way. So I have to stick with the Bengals. The Pittsburgh Steelers are in total disarray. I understand they'll be a home dog, but even still, I'm gonna roll with Cincy minus the 2.5. I just think the game is bigger for them. I think Browning is really on like a prove it kind of a mode right now. And let's be honest, I've seen Kyle Rudolph before, or Mason Rudolph before, and he ain't it. He ain't it. But this Jake Browning certainly looks like he's got some chemistry with whatever play calling is going on here in Cincinnati. Mixon's got going well. His chemistry with Higgins looks awesome. Obviously, just look to last week's game against the Vikings. So give me the Bengals. I'm going to take the Bengals minus the 2.5.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Mikey, but is Mason Rudolph not the guy that got hit in the head with his own helmet by
Myles Garrett?
Oh,
Myles Garrett. Yeah, that's absolutely right.
Yeah, that's right. So hopefully he's recovered from that. And to be honest, this 2 points to a Steelers team that suck. I mean, I get that they're in Pittsburgh, but they can't move the ball. And as you just said, Mason Rudolph's not going to be the difference in whether that offense can start moving the ball. Does that 2 points not concern you a little bit?
No, it does. It does. It's a fishy line. Not a game that probably I will put out as one of my, my subscriber picks, I don't think, but I just it's definitely fishy. I guess that the reason being is that Pittsburgh's at home and Browning is technically a backup, and Jamar Chase being out perhaps contributes to that. But I'm not buying that. I think Pittsburgh is just in disarray. I think it's just a franchise in disarray. I think it's a franchise in transition into something new with Mike Tomlin. Perhaps once the season is over, I think maybe there's going to be some major shakeups there. And just they've lost these games against horrific teams at home already. I mean, they lost to the Arizona Cardinals at home, Tick. Yeah. I mean, I am not. This is a division rival. So, the game it's a division rivalry game. That could also be part of the contributing factor to the spread. You're not going to see really inflated spreads with division rival games, especially with backup quarterbacks. So I think that's the only reason. So I would take Cincy. I would take them pretty confidently in this spot.
I would guess, I mean, I'm not a bookmaker. I don't know, but I would think if it was in Cincinnati, it would be something like 4.5, 5 points that the Bengals would be giving.
Yeah, probably 4.5.
So I guess home field advantage is worth 2.5, 3 points here, but
three should be worth 3.
Yeah. But so I don't, it just seems so odd. It makes me want to take the Steelers, this kind of line, but I just can't do it. I'm going to roll with the Bengals. Like you said, I like Jake Browning. I think T. Higgins, as you said, if not the best second option in the league, probably second or third best in the league as a second option. It's just an unbelievable offense, and not to mention Joe Mixon is just playing as good at running back as anyone else right now. So give me the Bengals. I'll take the hit. I'll take the 2 points. I also kind of like the under 36.5, but I won't pick that. Moving on to the night game on Saturday, we've got the Bills marching into LA. And the Bills are given 12 points to the Chargers, over under 43.5. Mikey?
Not only do I think the Bills cover this game, I think the Bills could potentially hit the over by themselves or come close to hitting the over by themselves. I think they're going to dismantle the Chargers. Um, a Chargers team now without their head coach finally, but a Chargers team that looked like they could not. Now, the only question is last week against the Raiders when they got completely embarrassed on national TV, was that a case of the players just
Right.
like consciously not showing up against that because they were so disheartened with this coach or they're so turned off by Brandon Staley that they made a conscious effort to just not show up to that game and now they're going to show up for an interim coach? Or is it the fact that they're just a team that's just a total mess? I'm going to go with the latter and say that they're just a total mess. Defensively, they can't stop the run. Offensively, Easton Stick looked he looked horrendous last week up until the garbage time, garbage time accumulation of touchdowns and yardage at the end there. But they got run out of the building by Las Vegas. I just think Buffalo, this is probably the worst team other than the Niners that they could draw right now. Just one of the hottest teams in the league, full of confidence. Everything's going right. I expect Buffalo to cover, and I expect Buffalo to cover handedly. I expect them to cover handedly.
If the Bills were playing anyone else, it feels like the time for them to throw up a dud based on the way that they've been playing. But they also know the situation they're in. They've got to pretty much win with the position they're in. They've got to almost win out, because even if they do, I think Mikey, they still even need some help from either the Browns or the Steelers or somebody. If they win out, I think they also still need help from somebody else to make the playoffs. So I could be wrong about that, but I think that's the situation they're in. So I would think that they're going to overcome the possibility of them having a dud. And even if they do put up a dud, I think they're playing just a mess of a team. This Chargers team is as bad as I've ever seen, to be honest. Just between the players quitting on the organization, lack of coaching, lack of direction, lack of everything that you need to make a good football team. But the question is 12 points. You know what? I'm going to say the Chargers get reinvigorated enough, not to win the game, but they get reinvigorated enough to cover the 12 under. Yeah, they don't necessarily have a coach, but I think they just were so excited to just not be around Brandon Staley anymore.
Probably.
I think that gets them excited enough to cover the 12. I could be absolutely wrong.
No Keenan Allen for them either. He was ruled out today. So no Keenan Allen. Yeah, he's officially ruled out as well.
That's tough. Give me the Bills. Who are they going to throw the ball to, Mikey?
Yeah, no. I mean, the TCU rookie wideout Johnson has been a absolute disappointment in terms of his drops. Eckler, of course, is there, but the Bills are just going to key on Eckler. Now, Bills lost one of their defensive tackles, Jordan Phillips, who was one of the better D tackles in the league. He's on the IR. He got put on the IR today, so certainly they're going to have some work to do. But I would imagine that the Bills are just going to load the box. They're going to say Eckler's not going to beat us, and they're going to just make Easton Stick beat them. And I just don't see that happening. So that's why, another reason why I like Buffalo. But
yeah, I tell you what, though, we ragged last week on Easton Stick, and by no means do I think he's going to be starting quarterback in this league, thriving, doing anything much of note. But he was one of the only players on that team in that Oakland game that didn't quit. He played to the very end, and he showed me something that at least he's got a little bit of heart in him, and I like that out of him, despite the embarrassing one of the coolest interceptions I've ever seen by that guy. Was his name like Jack Johnson or something like that?
Oh, the one-handed pick six.
It's like the guy knew the play was
it was awesome,
unbelievable.
I mean, listen, I think certainly the Chargers could come out strong. I think they could come out and be fired up and maybe even jump out to a lead. Maybe they could even jump out to a 3-0 or a 7-0 lead. But I think at the end of the day, I think they just get worn out by Buffalo. I think Buffalo is just starting to do those things where they just wear you out. And if James Cook is going to run the way he ran against Dallas, I mean, and you're talking about a Sharman soft run defense with the Chargers now, I would find it hard to believe that Buffalo can't cover that number. I know it seems like a big number, but it really, I mean, it's not like it's like 2 full touchdowns. I mean, you could get to 12. Like that's listen, you couldn't see the Bills winning this game 23-10, like, or 20, something like that, or 27-14, something along those. That's covering, and it's not really a blowout necessarily. So that's why the number, actually, the more I'm talking about it, that may be my game of the week, maybe the Bills -12. We'll see. We'll see, but I'm talking myself into liking it more and more.
Okay, we're both riding the Bills. That's Saturday. Moving on to Sunday.
Sunday's going to be great. Great.
It will be great. It will be great.
I mean, Christmas Eve, eating seafood all day, little champagne. It's Christmas Eve, a little champagne, little lobster, little NFL football. You can't fucking beat that, man. You just can't beat that. You can't, Tick. You can't.
I know. And it happens once every 7 years, I think, or 6 years, that we
What's
get
that?
Football on
Yes,
Christmas Eve.
Correct. Yes. And
it's on. It's the best time of year to have football. I don't want it on Christmas. I don't want it on the 23rd. I want it on Christmas Eve.
And then Christmas Day you could rot again because there's 3 games and they spread them all out. They gave us Thanksgiving on Christmas. The NFL really looked out for us this year. You know what they said? Our product is dog shit lately. At least we'll give you some games so you can put something on.
That's right.
Good for us.
Exactly right. But the excitement will not start with this game, even though it is on Christmas Eve. We got the Colts heading to Atlanta. It's basically a pick 'em. Atlanta is giving 1 point, over under 44.5.
I'll take Atlanta at home with Heineke named as the full-time starter again, benching Desmond Ridder. Atlanta should have won that game last week against Carolina in a monsoon. They didn't. Atlanta's one of those weird teams, like they could really score sometimes, and then there's other weeks where they just, they lose games that they shouldn't. They're inconsistent, but I think Heineke gives them a little more stability at quarterback. They're at home. Christmas Day. I very hard for me to pick against home teams on Christmas Day, depending on who the matchup is with. In a pick 'em, I'm certainly not going to do that. I'll take Atlanta at home on Christmas with Heineke at quarterback.
What a strange time I get the last game, they could hardly score. They just look worse and worse. But it just felt like a strange time for them to bench Ritter. Just give him the year to finish it out and see what he's fully made of.
I guess it really is that bad. He's had so much problems with ball security this year. I mean, the guy's like a human fumble machine. It's bad. Here's the thing though, the Colts, I mean, if you're going to look at the Colts, they got Taylor and they got Michael Pittman cleared and practiced today, I believe, which is huge for them. So if Taylor and Pittman are playing, that'll be a difficult game. But to me, I'm like, Atlanta should be run Bijan Robinson. Drake London's been very good lately. They even got Kyle Pitts a touchdown a couple of weeks ago. He's been, just Atlanta could do the things to get them to the spot where they got to be to put themselves in position to win this game, I think. But, again, Tick, you like the Colts? I have a feeling you're going to take the Colts.
Mikey, I think Vegas just heard you because the line just changed from 1 to -2.5.
For Atlanta?
For Atlanta.
So somebody obviously bombed Atlanta. It was not me, but somebody bombed Atlanta. Yeah, -2.5. I mean, listen, if I'm taking them, there's certain rules of gambling. If you're taking a team -1.5, you're certainly taking them at -2.5. The margin there, you're not starting to rethink things until you're talking over 3 points. So I'll still stick with Atlanta, even with ticket on the button, on the nose with the late breaking news. Nobody better.
There you go. No one better. You know what? I coming into the season, I actually really like the Falcons offense. I think they're different. I think they've got a lot of fun pieces. I think if they have the right quarterback, they could be a really explosive team. They've got all these guys that they just don't know how to use. Kyle Pitts, it feels like he's always open. He's just out there running routes. Yeah. And it's a shame because he's one of the best pieces out there and they just don't know how to use him. And same thing with Bijan Robinson, right? This guy has proven himself, especially early in the year, to be one of the most explosive backs as we all projected that he would be. But then they just in the middle of the season there just stopped using him for whatever reason.
What's the total here, Tick?
44.5.
I love the over. Over. I think you'll see a lot of points in this game. It's indoors. You got all these players coming back. Pittman, Taylor, Pitts, London,
Taylor definitely coming back?
Taylor. Hold on. A look at Jonathan Taylor, who was a full participant. He seems on track to return. That's Rappaport 1 minute ago. So he's on track to return. all these weapons that could score the ball. I imagine that number, by the time that game kicks off, will be closer to 46, 47. That would be my guess. If it's at 44 now, that would be a pick I would take. I would like that a lot. More so even than the game spread. I think there's going to be points.
And Minshew can throw the ball a little bit.
He can sling, sure.
I think
And you know what? Heineke's one of those guys where he just makes some plays. He runs around. I remember that playoff game against Tampa when he was with Washington. He's running all over the fucking place, diving to the pylon. I mean, he can make some plays, Heineke. And the Colts defense isn't good enough where he's going to get shut down. So expect some fireworks in this game. It actually may be a better game than advertised, I think. It would be a fun game to watch.
Yeah, I agree. So what I'll say here is, I don't think all the Falcons' issues were Desmond Ridder. I think that coach, what's his name, Arthur Smith?
Yeah,
Smith?
yeah.
That guy's a fucking bozo, man. That guy
is weird. He's definitely weird.
So in over his head. I mean, he looked every time they panned to him on the sideline, he just looks lost. He just looks like he doesn't know what to try next. But I also agree with a lot of the things that you said about the Falcons. I think that Taylor Heineke definitely is going to be a much more experienced, safer game manager of the football. And maybe that's exactly what the Falcons need right now compared to the fumble machine that Desmond Ridder was. But there is something about those Colts. I just got a soft spot for them, man.
Yes,
and
you and Joe, man.
That's right. But whenever they remember that Michael Pittman's on their team in the first half and they don't have to just throw to him constantly in the second half, they tend to win football games when they give him the ball for a full 4 quarters. I'm going to take the Colts minus 2.5. But what the fuck do I know? I'm just a losing machine. So
no. Plus 2.5. You're getting 2.5 points.
Sorry. Yes. Colts plus 2.5.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. We got the Seahawks heading to Tennessee. The Seahawks are giving 3 points over under 41.5. Mikey?
Now, this is a spot where people are probably going to love to take Seattle, especially after what Seattle did to Philly last week. And what's the number here?
41.5.
No. The spread. I'm sorry.
The Seahawks are giving 3.
Yeah, this is a spot where you saw what Kenneth Walker did. You saw what Drew Lock did. But from my understanding, Geno Smith is probably returning this week. That was my understanding, was that Geno Smith is probably going to play. And Tennessee is coming off a devastating loss against the Texans that they should not have lost that game by. There's no way they should have lost that game. This is a game that you should circle. Not because it's a must bet, but because don't fall into the trap of just automatically saying Seattle here. These guys have a soft spot for the Colts for whatever reason. When Tennessee is at home, I always have a soft spot for Tennessee. I took them last week and gave out a pick. Titans minus 2.5 in the first half against the Texans, which covered with ease. This time, we don't pick halves here. We pick full game. I'm going to take the home underdog getting 3 points, the Titans. I'll take them getting the 3 at home on Christmas Day. This is, to me, again, this just seems like a spot where everyone and their mother is going to be on Seattle. Now, what's very difficult is, what is Will Levis's deal? Is Levis, because if it's going to be Malik Willis,
it would be Tannehill, wouldn't it?
Tannehill. It's going to be Tannehill. That's right. I did read that. So it'll be Tannehill. Give me Ryan Tannehill at home, Christmas Day, veteran quarterback, getting 3 points. I like that play. I like that play. I think everyone's going to fall into Seattle auto bet, and I think the book is going to clean up on that.
Yeah, I usually have a rule for myself, which is to never bet on a Ryan Tannehill team ever.
Got it.
But the only time I override that is Tannehill is actually very good when he has something to prove. It's when he gets very comfortable in that starting position that I find that maybe he's just too comfortable. He makes all kinds of mistakes. He's not the same guy. But when he first got that position and had a lot to prove, or when he came back from a previous injury, it seems like he shows up when it's time to prove people wrong. And that, combined with, I think, the Seahawks, I think everyone circles the Eagles because not only did they have the best record walking into last week, but they also were in the Super Bowl last season. And there's been a lot of hype around that team. So I think everyone does circle that team. Pete Carroll had never lost to them. I think he wanted to keep it that way. And I think the Seahawks played a better game than they're capable of. So give me the Titans. Give me the Titans getting the 3 points at home. I also like that as well.
Derrick Henry, big game for Derrick Henry. I think they'll pound Derrick Henry right at that Seattle front, and I think that Seattle front will fold. I think Derrick Henry will have a really good game.
You heard it here first. All right, moving on. We get the Lions heading to Minnesota. The Lions are giving 3 points over under 47.5. Mikey.
Game of the week, Detroit Lions minus the 3.
Ah,
Game of the week, Detroit Lions minus
right.
3. That line should be 5.5 points. They should be giving 5.5 to 6 points in that game, in my opinion. What you've seen lately from Detroit, and then what you saw that collapse in Cincinnati by a defense everyone was talking about. Oh, the Vikings defense hadn't given up a touchdown. Oh, the Vikings defense. Oh, the Vikings. Take it easy. They played the Bears at home. The Bears offense is as inconsistent as an offense as you could get in this league, okay? This line is a value play with Detroit. You are not going to find the Detroit Lions as only a 3-point favorite against a non-playoff team, a bubble team like this, who is struggling. Nick Mullins is starting at quarterback, and I understand he did some nice things against the Bengals, but again, they had an epic collapse. This is just a ton of value in this play. Game of the week, Detroit Lions minus 3 against Minnesota Vikings.
Do you think that the Lions are fixed or that they're back on track? Or do you think
I do think they're back on track. I think they're back on track. And you know what? Not a game where Goff, like I would, if this was a road game against a true outdoor road team, if it was against Green Bay even, and he's had success against Green Bay, maybe use another example. If this was like a game against the Giants in New York, or if it was against the Jets in New York, or if it was against the New England in New England, or a cold weather team, I may have some reservations, but him going inside a dome, I have no reservations. I think they're somewhat back on track enough to where this, if you're going to bet this game, this has to be the play, in my opinion.
I think I definitely got ahead of my skis with how bad I thought Denver was going to be. And I still think that they're pretty bad, to be honest with you. And the Lions, the Broncos. So yeah, Broncos.
Yeah.
The Lions dismantling them last week. Jared Goff he looked like Joe Montana in that game. He was tortured.
And that Denver defense is decent. They're decent defense.
I'm just not ready to say that they're back quite yet. And I also don't think they'd have to beat the Vikings by 60 points or something to convince me to, because they're pretty pitiful right now. They've just been dog shit. So, and the thing with Jared Goff too is he's the king flip flopper. He'll go out there and throw 4 interceptions, and then the next week he'll look like the best quarterback you've ever seen. And it's something he's done from the very beginning. Since he was drafted by the Rams, he's been doing that. And the Lions are never going to win anything significant with him. They might end up with a nice little record on their hands, but I don't think they're ever going to go far in the playoffs with him. Now, do I think he can show up 2 weeks in a row and play well against the Vikings? I'd bet on him to do that just because it's in division, and I think the rest of the team's going to be fired up, and I think the defense is going to stand up for this game. So give me the Lions minus 3. I don't love it, but I'll take it. Mikey loves it. Mikey loves it.
I do.
So
I think
he knows what he's talking about.
Laporta, Gibbs, and Amon-Ra St. Brown right now, and they're figuring out like Gibbs, feature Gibbs, spell with Montgomery in the short yardage. Let him do the dirty work and pound the defense and run them out. And then Laporta underneath, and then Amon-Ra St. Brown. I just think they got it working. Maybe they finally figured out the formula that'll take them to the next level offensively. Defensively, we're going to see, but the fact that they play Mullins is, that's kind of another reason I'm kind of in on it. So yeah, Detroit, I like Detroit a lot.
About a year ago, Motor City Dan Campbell and the front office, I thought, looked a little silly, or a lot of people were at least giving them shit when they let go of arguably the best tight end in football in Hawkinson to an in-division rival, the Vikings. But now they must have knew that they were going to pick up a guy like Laporta, because he has turned into one of the best offensive weapons as well, Mikey.
Yeah, no, Laporta's been outrageously good, especially for a rookie. And that is one of the toughest positions historically in the NFL for a rookie to succeed at right off the bat is tight end. Historically, there's very few tight ends that come in the league and they do the kind of things that Sam Laporta is doing. So yeah, he's been great. And now we're joined by another great of an all-time great in Joseph DeMar.
Gentlemen, how we doing?
What's up,
Doing
Joseph?
all right.
I'm sorry to be late. I've been jumping on calls like crazy, and I know we all got stuff with the holidays planning. So I
Holiday
think part
season.
of the thing is we want to get these 2 episodes in a week. I think is going to be great. Just might be a little bit tricky the next week or two with all the stuff we have going on for the holidays, but happy to be here. I'm sorry if I missed out on anything. Big week of sports ahead. You know what I will tell you right out of the bat before we get going? I am
I
a
mean,
big
we've gotten
We're,
going.
we're going.
It's
Yeah.
I
not
know that
that
you're going.
we've
I'm
But just say
just
gotten
what you're
saying.
going.
gonna say. Say what you're gonna say.
I'm just saying, and I was going to buy it on the Bill and Dumb Show. The addition of NFL Sunday going to the Saturday night platform, I think, is sensational and something, honestly, I think that should be looked at maybe for like the duration of the year.
But they play Saturday night games every year.
But
He
I'm
means
saying
every week.
that I
Oh, you
love
mean
it.
throughout the whole season?
Yeah, I mean, imagine getting NFL Saturday nights on a
Yeah,
regularity.
yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, they're doing
One or two games, I would take that over the Thursdays.
college is over, So it's like college,
they do that,
college
That's
Saturday
fair.
nights is tough,
Yeah, that's
I would say this. I wish they would move Thursday night football to Friday night, and I think it would be better for the players too. I would much rather get a game on Friday.
They get one more day of rest.
Yeah.
True. I like a Friday night game as well. That'd be the worst thing that could possibly happen to wives. That would I mean, they would lose their minds.
Yeah.
Well, Joe, we were just talking about the Lions. Mikey and I are both taking Detroit -3, but Detroit is heading to Minnesota. They're given 3 points. Who do you like, Joe?
Oh man, they're in Detroit or they're in Minnesota?
They're in Minnesota.
Give me the Minnesota Vikings. I think that listen, they put up a very valiant effort against a Bengals team that, for all intents and purposes, looks pretty solid with Browning under center. I think at home with the atmosphere, Lions. I think they struggle a little bit. I think I'd take the points with Minnesota on that one.
All right. Well, moving on here, we're going to see the Commanders take on the Jets in New York. Jets are giving 3 points. Mikey,
What a
who do you
horrible game.
like? Yeah.
Jets could never give points to anybody. So out of principle, I'll just say Washington. I wouldn't bet this game, but out of principle, the Jets can't give points right now to anybody. So I will take Washington, and I understand, that that Washington hasn't been great, but certainly Washington can score. The Jets can't score. Like the Jets they don't score. Like Zach Wilson will have a game every 5 games where he does well, and that'll be it. And then they won't score for a month. Like they won't score. So for that reason, I can't buy the Jets giving points. I have to take the points anytime the Jets give them to me. So I'll take Washington.
I didn't think it was possible for the Jets to have worse production than with Zach Wilson, but I guess Simeon came to the helm and showed that they could they could plummet even more. So
Simeon's terrible. We know
how
what
has
Trevor
this
Simeon
guy
is.
been
He
in the
sucks.
league?
He
This is
stinks.
one of
Another
the
backup
backups
quarterback.
that Ticket and
Another
I have
one.
talked about, has kind of made his way through the league for years and just looks incompetent. Like he looks so bad. I had Garrett Wilson. I got to bench Garrett Wilson on my fantasy team because I just simply cannot project that he's going to do anything with Trevor Simeon at the helm.
Yeah,
and for
it's
that
tough.
reason, I am going to go with the Commanders getting points. What a horrible game this is. I hope you don't have to have, the atrocity of watching this game and can watch something else and hopefully not even have to worry about betting this, because what a shitty game this is.
Yeah, I used to talk shit about this guy just left, right, and center. I mean, I just would never end, but it was because he was an Eagle. But if you're telling me that Trevor Simeon and some of these other backup quarterbacks are better than a Carson Wentz, I mean, I get that guy just started making, fuck ups after fuck up, but I think it was a lot of mental mistakes. You're telling me that guy, talent-wise, couldn't come in and do a better job than say, Trevor Simeon or a Mike White? I just don't believe you. I really don't. With all that being said, give me the Commanders plus a 3. Moving on, we got Joe's Packers heading to Carolina. Green Bay is giving 5 points. Joey D, who do you like there?
This is horrible. I'm going to take the Carolina Panthers.
So am I.
There is absolutely no reason, especially after Carolina just beat Atlanta, who was a team that beat Green Bay earlier in the season. Very same in terms of like the like the overall makeup of the team is inconsistent. Green Bay has shown me absolutely nothing the last 2 weeks after looking like a perennial, wild card team, potential team that was playing above their skill level, won 2 convincing games. They go out and they shat a brick, not only in New York, which was a trap game, but then to follow it up at home against a team that was desperately was behind them in the playoff race. They just absolutely, that was one of the worst losses I've seen. And this defense from the Green Bay Packers has shown me there's no hope that I have that they're going to be able to stop.
They don't stop the run, and Chuba Hubbard's one of the hottest backs in the league right now.
And I tell you what, I bet you Bryce Young is going to run all over them next week, this week coming up. I bet you he's going to get a ton of yards. Give me the Panthers +5, and I got news for you. They might even lose this game, Mikey.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Panthers with the 5 points. I don't think they'll lose the game, Joe, but I think they'll win it by a field goal. I don't see them winning it by more than a field goal, but I like Green Bay to win the game, but I'll take the 5. I'm more interested to hear what the total in this game is. If I had to guess, I would guess it would be around 38.
37.5.
Oh, man.
Pretty fucking good. It's pretty fucking good.
And you know what? Unfortunately, this is the game that I will have to watch.
You know what? And if you're going to play this game, I would advise playing the under. I think the under is going to be good. You're going to see a Carolina team that's going to be adamant about running Chuba Hubbard, and you're going to see a Packer team that is notorious clock killers. The Packers are a notorious clock killing team. Under 37.5 in this game, I would advise over the spread, but we pick spreads. My pick, along with Joe, is Carolina +5, although I do think Green Bay will win the game outright.
First half under, Mikey.
I would take the game under. I really would. I would.
But I mean, maybe both.
Perhaps. Yeah, sure.
Tim, what do you think?
I'm going to take the Packers based solely on the fact that I can't have a worse record than the Carolina Panthers.
As long as it's in a game a week for you, Tick, again, please just don't. If you're picking games of the week, just stay the hell away from my Green Bay Packers, Tick, because
I mean, if anybody here wants the Packers to win desperately on Sunday, it's me. I can't have Carolina win another game. The Patriots are going to be tied with the Patriots.
Mikey almost wants the Tick to take Panthers, as his game of the week.
Yes, I do.
Panthers
yes,
money line.
Yes, I do.
I've got a plan for where my curse is going. I already have that mapped out.
Dallas Cowboys.
We'll see, Joseph.
Yeah, that's right. You can tell. The smile gave it away.
That's right. So give me the Packers -5. Moving on, we got the Browns heading to Houston. Cleveland is giving 2.5 points, over under 40.5. Mikey, who do you like there?
Looks like Stroud's going to be out again. There was a magic carpet ride that the Texans beat the Titans last week. I know they're at home, but Cleveland just finding a way with Flacco. They did against the Bears, who are, top defensive unit, one of the top defensive units in football right now. And Flacco threw all over them in the fourth quarter. I'm not going to sit here and endorse a Davis Mills pick. I can't do that. So I'll take the Browns giving points, even though it's on the road, which I don't like to do, but I will take Cleveland.
I think that's the right pick, Mikey, especially if Stroud's not playing, just inconsistency. Now, Case Keenum is a backup who I'd say is viable.
Is that who's playing? Not Davis Mills? Case Keenum?
It was Case Keenum last week who led them.
You're right. Yes,
and I think Case Keenum has experience playing as a starter.
He does.
And can make the plays. Now, that being said, there's injuries all along this Texans wide receiver front. Tank Dell out. Noah Brown, I don't know if he's playing this week. So they're banged up. And listen, for a defense that Mikey has shat on throughout the year, the Browns defense is solid, man. They are a good.
I shat on them.
You've shat on them.
Took a little bit
This
of a
is
shit on 'em.
so typical. I did not.
You have said that they're overrated.
You went back and said
what I said was
skeptical of this Browns defense.
Here's what I'll say is that people are the Browns fans made the Browns defense out to be like the best defense in football. I just don't agree with that. I don't think they are. In fact, I thought last week you saw a defense that was better than they are. I think the Bears defense is better than the Browns defense. The problem is that the Bears offense is inconsistent. And don't tell me it was your defense that did that to the Bears. It's not. Bears couldn't score touchdowns against anybody. The Lions, that's the only team they scored touchdowns against. the Browns defense is very good. It's just not the best defense. That's all. It's
I'm
not
not
the
saying
best
they're
defense.
the best.
It's
I'm saying
overhyped. It's overhyped.
they're good. They're good.
Yeah, they're good. I wouldn't say I shot on them. That's not shitting on them.
I would say
Whatever.
they're. I would
Okay,
go
I
as
shit
far-
on them. You know what? Fuck them. But Cleveland will win. But fuck them.
I would go as far as to say the Browns are probably a top 5 defense in the league.
I agree. I just don't
Okay.
think they're the
Okay. I
defense.
just have not heard you say that for a while.
Yeah,
I've
they're
never
good, I
heard you
guess.
admit
You
that.
know
I mean,
what? I
top
don't even
5
know.
is-
You know what? I don't even know if they're.
Oh,
Yeah, I
God.
guess they are. There's bad defenses in this league. There's bad defenses.
There's a
in this
lot of
league.
bad defenses in this.
Yeah, there's a
league.
lot of bad. So
I
yeah,
will say
they're
the Bears defense
the
is
best
on
of
the
the-
up and coming.
They're the prettiest ugly girl at the dance. We'll say that.
The Browns?
We'll say that.
The Browns
Yeah, that's
defense?
right. Yeah, that's
Okay.
right. Yeah.
Garrett Wilson's not that ugly. That's kind of a prize winning.
Miles Garrett.
Yeah, Miles Garrett bringing
No,
to the prom.
Miles Garrett's a dime piece.
You bring
There's
Miles
no
Garrett
question.
to the prom, you're done okay with yourself.
He's a rocket. He's a rocket. He's a rocket. He's a rocket.
I'll take the Browns. Who do you like?
I'll take the Texans. I'm just such a D'Amico Ryan stan. I
He's
also
done a great job. He's done a great job.
unbelievable. He's coach of the year in my eyes. He's really emerging as one of the best coaches in the league, and I think it'll stay that way for a long time. And I think this Texans team is just getting going, and I think they're going to end up being a very good team for the next 5 to 6 to 7 years. So for those reasons and those reasons only, give me the Texans. I like the way Joe Flacco's sort of turned around that offense a little bit. He's made them actually productive in some kind of way. He's made Amari Cooper be relevant again. But I just like D'Amico Ryans finding a way to win this football, so much like they did last week against the Titans. Moving on, we got the Jags heading to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is giving 2.5 points, over under 41.5. Joey D, who do you like there?
Man, this Jags team, they just like shooting themselves in the foot. I know Trevor Lawrence's concussion protocol. I don't know if he's playing or not. What's happening on that end? Part of this,
I think he's trending towards playing.
I mean, the guy hasn't missed a game since he started in the league, so I would assume he's going to play. The guy's like Superman; he doesn't miss games. But part of this is I want to take the Bucs because he looked so good last week. But part of it is just the ineptitude of how bad and how bad that Green Bay defense was. I think the Jags will get pressure with Josh Allen on Baker. And I think when we see Baker get pressured, he makes mistakes. The one time he got really sacked, he fumbled the ball against the Packers, gave us a ball in like almost inside the 10-yard line. I think the Jags will actually shockingly cover this game. Just because I think that Baker is inconsistent, man. He makes plenty of mistakes. The Jags are inconsistent, but I think overall they're a better team than Tampa, and I think that they'll get the job done this week.
Yeah, I'm tired of the Jaguars, man. I really am getting tired of Trevor Lawrence, bro. Like I listen, I start him every week in fantasy, but he's beyond frustrating with the turnovers, man. Like it really is. It's beyond
missing throws too, like crazy last game.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Tampa's defense ain't Tampa's defense of old, so the weather ain't going to be a factor because they're both Florida teams, so that's not an issue for either of these teams. I'm gonna be an idiot and take Jacksonville, and I don't want to.
Welcome to the dark side.
Yeah, but I really dislike Tampa. I don't believe in Tampa at all. I think
I just don't think they're that great a team.
They're not.
They're not.
They're not. But there are no real. I mean, there's only a handful of teams that are even in that conversation. So Jacksonville ain't one of them either. But I'll take Jacksonville in this case with the two, giving 2.5 or 2.
2.5.
2.5.
Yeah, 2.5. Give me the Jags. See
I don't think the Bucs are very good either, but I'm going to roll with the Bucs this week minus 2.5. Might be the first time all year I've taken
plus 2.5 tick. You're
plus
getting
2.5
points.
Sorry, is the thing with Trevor Lawrence, Joe's right. He starts every game. He's like Superman. But the thing is, he's been getting beat up this year, man. A few weeks ago against the against the Bengals. He had that ankle injury that looked pretty serious, but he came back. Last game, he got tackled hard on his right shoulder. I don't know if it was his arm, his wrist, his shoulder. I don't know what it was. He continued playing. And then now in concussion protocol, I think this guy's pretty banged up. And even when he was healthy, Mikey's right. This guy's throwing interceptions left and right. He's got a real problem turning the ball over. I just don't like the way this Jags team is trending whatsoever. And, the Bucs, I don't really believe in them, but I think at home, I think they'll do just enough to cover, or just enough to win this game, and definitely cover the 2.5.
Baker's going to be hungover from Christmas Eve. He ain't going to play well.
Think so?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, no, but he's
get
playing on
after it a little
Christmas
bit.
Eve. He's not going to be hungover from Christmas Eve. He's
I
playing.
thought that was Christmas Day game.
No. This is Christmas Eve.
Oh,
Sunday. This is
Oh,
Sunday.
got it.
Yeah.
He'll be thinking too much about getting drunk. He won't play.
There you go. That makes more sense. Fair enough. Moving on. We got Mikey's Bears here. We got the Cardinals heading to Chicago.
Whoa.
Chicago is giving 4.5 points, over under 43.5. Mikey, who do you like?
Bears shouldn't be a 4.5 point favorite against anybody, in my opinion. I know it's Arizona, but who are the Bears? They're not much better than Arizona. Give me Arizona plus 4.5. I think the Bears will win the game. I hope the Bears win the game. But it'll be a field goal win. Bears don't beat teams like that. The Lions game was an aberration. It was an outlier. It was a one-off. They played their best game of the year. Defense looks great. But the week before is more of what if the Bears win, it's more like what you saw them do against the Vikings. Really very rare you get any touchdowns. Defense has to do things. Things have to go their way. Opposing quarterback has to play bad. So, and they won that game by like 2 points. So the Bears, I can't see them covering 4.5. Give me Arizona.
Joe?
This could be my game of the week. I'm going to take this. I haven't even heard a lot of the other games of the week, and I'm taking the Chicago Bears
Oh my God.
to cover.
This guy.
I'm telling you right now.
Why, Joe?
Why? I will tell you right now.
I want to
the
hear.
fact that the Bears lost that last game was criminal. It was absolutely not even. I'm not even talking about the drop by Darnell Mooney in the Hail Mary. They imploded at the end of that game, and they orchestrated a great game for 85% of the game. They dictated play defensively. They are running on all cylinders. They had three interceptions. They had pressure. Montez Sweat looks fucking amazing.
Yes.
Kyler Murray,
that's correct.
Kyler Murray is banged up. He got absolutely obliterated. I don't know if you watched that San Francisco. He was getting absolutely destroyed. Arizona's got nothing to play for, man. They're playing in Chicago, Tick.
Yes,
in
Chicago.
Field,
Yeah.
Cold environment against a dome team.
Yeah.
I think we're not asking for a touchdown. Arizona stinks. I'm not saying the Bears are amazing. Their defense can cause some turnovers. And listen, Justin Fields has shown moments that he can get the ball downfield to DJ Moore and score enough. And I think that their backfield between Roshan Johnson and Deontay Foreman are solid enough that they can, hopefully get possession of the ball on their side. I think the Bears win this game by 6 points. I'm going to take the Bears as my game of the week to cover. I think they're trending upward. It was an unfortunate loss, Mikey. You should have won last week. That Browns team is pesky. And let's not forget that Browns defense is good. And honestly, I thought Fields played pretty solid as a whole. I just think the Bears are a team right now that is different from the typical Bears team we've seen at the beginning of the season. I think that their defense is hitting on all cylinders, and I think that they could do enough to beat an Arizona Cardinals team that isn't exactly high-powered and is going to bring a lot to the table. That's just my thoughts.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you said about their defense. The only thing that people need to be made aware of is as good as they looked in that Cleveland game defensively, the only reason they were even in that game was because Eddie Jackson picked off a Joe Flacco pass and returned it inside the 10. That's how they got their touchdown. That's how they got that one touchdown. They
scored on a pick six as well.
No.
The Bears scored on a pick six.
Did they?
Yes, they did.
The
He
Eddie
had three.
Jackson one was a pick that got returned inside the 10. Did they score?
They
No, they didn't,
scored.
Joe. No, they
They
didn't.
did.
No, they
The
didn't.
Bears did.
No, they didn't. Komet scored on a pass from Fields after he
Yeah.
rolled out of the Myles Garrett sack.
I thought the Bears scored on a pick six.
I don't think they did, Joe, because I don't recall anybody picking it off for mail. I think the 2 touchdown scores. Well, I gotta look, but
Here it is. Hold on. Bears interception. Tremont Edwards returned for 40
Tremaine Edmonds. That's right. Tremaine Edmonds did pick. Okay.
touchdown.
Okay. So the only reason the Bears, right, that's right. The only reason
I know
the
I
Bears-
had them on my fantasy
well,
team.
this
I was going nuts.
this is why I was thinking of it, because when Eddie Jackson picked his off, I thought he was going to return it also, but he got tackled inside the 10. Eddie Jackson had the 1 pick that got returned inside the 10. Tremaine Edmonds, the free agent acquisition from Buffalo, pick 6 and returned a touchdown. That's offensively, they did nothing. They did absolutely nothing. And I know Cleveland's defense is good. I get it, but offensively, the Bears are the most frustrating, inconsistent
I'm
team.
not disagreeing with you.
So I don't know. I think the Bears win the game, Joe. I agree. I know how it's gonna go.
What does it take? 4.5, right?
Yeah, 4.5. Yeah.
I like this game, man. I
right.
like the Bears.
All
Dick,
right.
what do you like? What do you like?
All
Dick, tell us.
I'm going to take the Bears as well.
Oh, just don't take it as a game of the week, please.
I agree with Joe that well, they have.
I'm not trying to blow smoke up Mikey's ass. I'm not trying to do that.
They have a real bad knack for not showing up in fourth quarters.
Yes,
They did it against the Lions. Obviously, they did it last week. And early in the season they did it against Denver. Didn't they throw a big one away against Denver early in the season too?
well, against the Lions, the game was over in the fourth quarter. Tick, it was over.
But and even if they do it again in this game against the Cardinals, I think they will have built up enough of a lead not to let it impact the -4.5. I think they're gonna smoke them for 3 quarters at least. Cardinals just suck. I mean, it's not because I like the Bears; it's because the Cardinals fucking blow.
Yeah.
They're just not good, man.
Take the Bears. So yeah, give me the -4.5. Moving on here, we got the Cowboys heading to Miami. It's basically a pick 'em. Miami is giving 1 point to the Cowboys, over under 49.5. Joe, who do you like there?
Is Tyreek playing this week?
Yes.
He is, yeah.
He practiced today. Yeah,
I'm against him at Showtime in the fantasy play. I was hoping he wouldn't play. I'm going to take the Cowboys against all odds, and I know that they looked horrific. I know they looked awful. That was a one-off game where they got behind early. They're playing in a tough ballpark in Orchard Park against the Bills. I honestly think that Dak bounces back. I don't think the Miami defense is, by any means formidable. I think that they're decent, but I think that Dak, I think he finds his way back here. And I actually think that the Dallas Cowboys defense has a big bounce back game. They looked horrible. They looked like they could not stop the run at all. Now, Mostert and a chain, if they can't stop the run with those guys, then they're in trouble. But I do think that the Cowboys come back. And if it's a pick-em game, I'll take the Cowboys.
Mikey?
You're talking about 2 teams that are just very, very similar teams. Very similar teams in the fact that they score a ton of points. They're flashy. They're fan favorite teams. There's a ton of Dolphins fans out there. There's a ton of Cowboys fans out there. But 2 teams that simply don't beat other good teams. They don't.
Yep.
They don't beat teams over 500. That's the bugaboo with
the
both
Cowboys
of these teams.
beat the Eagles.
Cowboys beat the Eagles. I didn't want to bring that up, but historically, when these teams get matched up against another, so this is a very awkward spot. This game is an awkward spot, and for that reason, I just think that I'll go with the home team. Miami's defense looked really good, albeit against the Jets. I get that. I understand that. But Miami's defense, since Jalen Ramsey has come back, to me, looks like a better defense. Dallas's defense, of course, is good. Will they get after Tua enough to really get him off of his spot? If they do, they'll win. If they don't, they'll lose. But I'm going to just roll the dice. Miami's offensive line, though, is devastated. You know what? Fuck that. Give me the Cowboys. I'll take the Cowboys. Thinking about the Miami offensive line, I think they're going to get after Tua enough to get him off his spot and make him uncomfortable, and that's going to be a problem. But Joe is right in the fact that if Miami's able to do what Buffalo did and establish the run, and they're just going to pound Mostert and then hit him with a chain, could be a very long day for Dallas. But I think Dallas buttons it up, and Dallas comes away with a win here, only because the pressure on Tua.
I really think this game is a coin flip. I would almost bet the under on this game. It's at 49.5. I think everybody and their mother is going to think, oh, these two high-powered offensive teams are going to score 1 trillion points. And I think that there's going to be a little bit of a downtick in terms of production and touchdowns. But it's a coin flip. That's why it's in a pick 'em. I could see both teams winning in different ways. It's a really tough game to pick sides.
I think we're looking at Tua concussion watch 2023. I think Micah Parsons and those guys are gonna fucking get after this guy. I think he's gonna get fucking pounded.
Yeah, that's my feeling when I started talking about it.
I think he's gonna be hitting the tent at some point in this game. I don't want him to, obviously not. He's had a lot of trouble with that, but it's a game where that could certainly fucking happen. Give me the Cowboys +1. Give me the Cowboys money line. I think they're gonna handle this team. I think they'll win by a touchdown, maybe 10 points. I think they'll pull away in the fourth quarter.
Is it pick 'em or +1?
Cowboys. No, it's +1.
Oh, that's even more so. I'd take the Cowboys.
Yeah, give me the Cowboys +1. And then our Sunday night game on Christmas Eve, it's a riveting one. It's the Patriots walking into Mile High, playing Denver. Denver's giving 7 points, over under 34.5. Mikey, who do you like there?
Who the Broncos are 7-point favorite over who?
Patriots.
The Patriots at Mile High.
Yeah. That's insane. 7 points. I mean, the Broncos laying 7 points is just, that's wild, but that's telling you that they're going to cover. Give me Denver -7. Give me Denver -7. I know it's a lot of lumber, but that's just that's the spread for a reason. Maybe Denver Christmas night in Denver, Mile High. There's got to be something special in the air there. Give me Denver -7.
Joey D.
I don't know, man. That's
a lot of points.
The Patriots have played better. The Patriots have played better as of late. I don't think that. I'm gonna take the Patriots. I agree with Mikey. I agree with Mikey in the sense that the number, you almost think that it's high, so it almost like tends to make you want to take the team that is favored that you would lean against. But I'm not taking this as my game of the week. I'm just going to take this for face value. I think the Patriots are decent. They're playing okay right now. Zappy has shown that he can make some plays.
Great college quarterback.
Yeah, I'll take the Patriots at +7. I think that's a lot of points.
Give me the Broncos at home. I think they bounce back. I think they have a really nice game there. Patriots suck. So play the 7 and take the Broncos. Moving on to Christmas Day. We got 3 games, gentlemen. It's going to be a big day for football. It's going to be a big day for Christmas. Christmas might be back. Christmas might be back because of the NFL. And we got
I don't think Christmas ever left, to be fair.
Christmas left. Christmas was gone, and now Christmas is back thanks to the
Sound like the Grinch.
Well, just because you didn't get a present from Santa Claus doesn't mean
it's very Grinchy.
Christmas is gone. When did Christmas ever leave the picture?
Christmas was gone. Christmas was gone.
No, it wasn't.
Christmas was absolutely gone.
By the way, speaking of Christmas, side promotion here. Christmas episode drops today for Bob Does Sports, and it's a doozy. So Christmas never left, Tick. It never left.
Christmas episode dropped yesterday, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say. It definitely did not.
You know what I'm
did not drop today.
If you haven't watched it, go take a look after this.
Christmas never left.
Christmas left. And now it's back. We've got the Giants heading to Philadelphia. The Giants are getting 13.5 points.
Whoa!
Over under 42.5.
Man, that's a lot of points.
My God. Hey, give me the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay. Mikey V.
That is a lot. That is a line that was I remember. Now, listen, I remember vividly. I think that was the line for the Giants against the Eagles last year at some point. That was the line. And this year's Eagles team is not last year's Eagles team. And certainly, though, the Giants this year's team is not the Giants of last year's team either. That really makes very little sense to me. 13.5 is just a ton of points. But the Giants never fucking beat the Eagles. They never fucking beat the Eagles.
No, they don't.
The Eagles own the Giants. So I'll take the Eagles with the points, even though
Ah,
that number is frightening. That number is frighteningly
this is
large.
the week the Eagles turn it around, Tick.
Curse
Eagles.
game. Curse game.
Curse game.
Curse game. Game of the week. Giants.
Whoa!
Curse game. Curse game. Giants come out firing, man. They play at the
I mean,
link.
Tiggy, you do realize that the Eagles could still win this game like 7 points, and you still lose your pick of the week, right?
I need all the fucking help I can get. If I can,
Well, the play is Giants money line.
Yeah.
That's not what we do here. We take the spreads. Sure, game of the week. Giants money line.
Okay, that's the pick. Giants money line. If anything could reverse fortunes, it's that. So there you go.
The only problem now is for the fade ticket picks, you're gonna have to pay like minus 350 on the dollar.
You got to pay to play, man.
Pay to play. Sometimes the juice is worth the squeeze there, Joseph.
What is it? It's got to be. What is it? Let me see here.
Yeah, I would imagine it's something like minus 400, something like that, right?
I gotta look. Go ahead. So tell us about this Giants pick, Tick.
I already said everything I need to say. It's full on curse game, and Giants are going to win this football game. It's the only way I see it. I can't slice it any other way. The Giants come out firing. Moving on though, Joe, you can give us an update whenever you get it. The Raiders are heading to Kansas City. They're playing at Arrowhead. Kansas City is giving 10 points to the Raiders, over under 40.5.
Raiders plus the 10. Rivalry game. Raiders always hang with the Chiefs. They may lose, but they always hang with them in the beginning. Raiders coming off of a blowout victory over that dog shit Chargers team. They should be coming out full of piss and vinegar. They looked really good. The quarterback looked better. It's in Arrowhead, I understand that, but that's a lot of points for a division rivalry game that the Raiders always tend to find themselves in the thick of it. I'll take the Raiders plus the 10.
Joe?
I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs to cover this week. I think they covered last week against a New England team that looked like they were going to hang tight. They found a way to do it. I think this is, a week that Kansas City just finds their legs early. Anytime touchdown, I would say Rashee Rice, I would take an anytime touchdown. That young man is having himself a really hell of a second half of the season. And Mahomes is looking at him a ton. Like he's getting more catches, more yards than Travis Kelce right now. But listen, anytime you play a team as shitty as the Chargers, I think you leave out there thinking that you're better than you are. There's going to be a lot of realizations once they walk into Arrowhead. And I still have doubts about this Aiden O'Connell, man. I know he looked unbelievable last week. But again, it's the Chargers. I'd take it with a grain of salt. I think the Chiefs, I normally don't like them to cover big spreads like this, but I think this week is the week that they do cover.
Everyone says the Chiefs don't cover. It's actually not true. They do sometimes. What they don't do is they don't cover big spreads. This is a big spread. It's a rivalry game. I think the Raiders keep it close. Give me the Raiders plus the 10 points. I'm not completely bought in on Aiden O'Connell. As Joe just said, Chargers, dog shit team. Didn't necessarily show me much. But if he can just continue to find a way to get Devonta Adams involved, I mean, that guy to me, I mean, I think he proved it. This guy is still one of the best receivers in football. He just needs a quarterback to get him the ball. And hopefully they draw up some plays just to, sort of creatively find a way to get him involved. Regardless.
Max Crosby.
Yep.
Prop bet over
half a sack.
Over half, or they'll probably put him at 0.75. Max Crosby will be playing. Max Crosby will get a sack in this game. Take that as a prop bet.
That's the other thing too, is I think Oakland will get a few turnovers. Patrick Mahomes has been throwing up some weak passes. He's been throwing up ducks, man. Lame ducks. And I think Max Crosby gets to him. I think he rattles him, and I think Patrick Mahomes throws a few more of those right to the Raiders. So give me the Raiders to hang in this thing at least within 10 points. And on to the night game on Christmas. Perhaps the best present any of us will get, especially now that Christmas is back, officially calling it. Christmas is back. The Ravens heading to San Francisco. San Francisco giving 5 points, over under 46.5. Mikey?
Yeah, I'm going to give my pick, and then I have to run out, guys, because I'm a little bit late as
Yeah.
it is. I'm going to take at home the team that I believe is going to win the whole thing this year. And if they don't, this is a wasted year, I think, at this point for San Francisco. The way they are rolling right now, they're going to win this game. Baltimore is due a game where they're going to lose by a comfortable margin. I just feel that that's coming. They just lost Keaton Mitchell, who I think that's going to be a bigger deal than some people think it's going to be. I like San Francisco at home, giving 5 points. They're on all cylinders right now. Trip from Baltimore out to the West Coast on Christmas night. That crowd is going to be fucking crazy in San Francisco. Give me the Niners minus the 5. I love you, boys. I'm sorry that I got to leave, but
No, you're all good.
all right.
We love you, Mikey.
Hey,
Be
pal.
good, boys. Love you.
I think the Baltimore Ravens beat the San Francisco 49ers outright. That being said, if you're going to give me points, I'll take the points and I'll take them and I'll cherish all of them. I think Baltimore is a better team than people expect. I think the Niners hype is real. I think the Niners are a great team. Don't get it twisted, but at the same time, I just think this is Baltimore's game. They come out and they do everything they need to cover.
I agree with you on that, actually. I like the Ravens in this spot a lot. I think the Niners have been riding really fucking high. But I think the Ravens come out and punch them in the mouth, man. I think they're a good fucking. I was selling them for a long time. I was not a believer. They don't have much of a running game. Those guys are filling in decently, but they don't have much of one. But fuck it, man. Lamar is unbelievable,
He's
dude.
so good, man.
Him,
I think Lamar, by the way, is going to run a ton in this
yeah,
game.
I think so too. And he's going to make a lot fucking happen. And it's not that the 49ers aren't still the best team in football. I think that they are. I just think they're going to rest on their laurels a little bit. And I think the Ravens are really going to shock them with how much they bring to the table in that game. So give me the points. I also agree with you, Joe. I think they're going to win the game. But yeah, you're going to give me points. I'll take the 5 points.
I think what Lamar has done, just on a side note, this year better than he has in a long, long time, is he's making good decisions as a quarterback. He's not just looking merely to run as soon as there's not a player open. I think that was one of his real downfalls before, is he would, he'd try to scramble as soon as he didn't see a guy open. You're seeing more, he's crafty with the ball now. He's making a lot of these sidearm throws and different things that he never really used to have in his repertoire. And I think now teams are having to respect the fact that he can pass the ball downfield and he can make the deep ball, and he's looking to pass first. And I think in the past he was too quick just to run all the time. So I actually do think that his game is progressing and developing. And like you said, if he had a better run game, I think this team would be even a lot scarier. This is a team that has overcome a lot of hurdles. They lost Dobbins at the beginning of the year. They lost Mark Andrews, who's arguably their most reliable pass catcher in the offense. And then to go on, they lost this Keaton Mitchell last week, who I think is their most explosive running back. But they keep finding a way to win games, be successful, and do what they need to do. And I think a big part of it is, I think John Harbaugh is low-key one of the best coaches in the league. I think he comes prepared. He has good game scripts. The team looks ready, and they just look like they're well coached on all facets. So I think a lot of the public are going to bet the 49ers just because of how dominant they've been. But I think they haven't really played a team that is as well-rounded as the Baltimore Ravens. And I think it's going to be a hell of a game, man. It's going to be awesome to watch.
You go back and watch Lamar in his rookie season. I mean, he was electrifying. He was everything he is today, minus his throwing ability. He could throw it a little bit, but I mean, from where he was to where he is now, it's unbelievable how he's changed. He is a great thrower of the football, man. He can really sling that thing and sling it quite accurately. So, I mean, you add that into an already explosive, exciting guy who can run all over the field and help his offensive line out incredibly by just extending plays. I mean, this guy's the ultimate weapon. I mean, he's just fucking unbelievable and a lot of fun to watch. But all right, let's move on here. I think normally, I know we, on these second episodes, we're going to be introducing a new segment. We'll tell you a little bit about it. It's called Prove Me Wrong. It's where one of us is going to come up with a take and the other two, and we invite you in the comments as well to try to dismantle that take. But I want to introduce that
With Mikey.
with Mikey. So we'll hold off, but moving forward, when the three of us are together on this second episode you'll get each week, you will be getting that segment before we roll in to our viewer questions. But today, Joe and I will just roll in to the viewer questions. First question comes from, this is right up your alley, Joe. Comes from Brady Dykes. What is your worst hotel experience?
Worst, like as staying as a guest?
Yes, yeah.
Worst hotel experience. You know, I will say, luckily, I've stayed at a lot of nice places and not so many bad places. I'll tell you an experience that sucked.
Okay.
I went to Mexico with Bob and with you, and
Yeah.
we went and we pulled up. And listen, I've been to Mexico a few times, and I've always stayed at high-end spots, all-inclusive, very nice places. We started taking the shuttle bus from the airport. And you know, vibes are high, you're excited, you're looking forward to getting to your property and seeing everything. And we took a route I've never taken before because we ended up on a different part of town. And I know how Puerto Vallarta and Cancun, all these things, there's a big strip where all the best resorts are. We weren't near it. And I started looking around. I'm like, where the hell are we? You know, and we pulled up to the entrance and I took one look. And I looked at Ticket and I looked at Bob and I said, we're in for a long haul. And listen, it wasn't horrific. It wasn't awful. But in terms of the food, in terms of the amenities, in terms of just the overall stay, you know, we were staying with locals. We weren't staying with tourists. And yeah, it was just a shitty hotel, man. It was a shitty resort. The beach was just, it was like a secondhand beach. I mean, we still made the best out of it, Tick. I think we did. We got pretty blitzed and had a lot of fun on that end, but that's got to go up there as one of the shittier places we've stayed. And the food was just garbage.
That's what I was gonna say. We were eating in like a cafeteria every day.
Oh, and then we'd be like, oh, let's try the Japanese food restaurant one night. That was a mistake. Let me tell you that much.
Well, we didn't have the best guy in the world hosting us necessarily. We got led
No.
down the wrong alley, I think. Well, that was going to be mine, but I guess I'll just pivot and just make it quick. I was in New England for a wedding once, and I stayed at like a Motel 6 or something. And all these things stink. You always expect them to stink. You don't expect much out of them. But this one had. I opened the bed sheets. They were yellow stains.
Oh,
Saw a spider coming out of it. It was so bad that in the middle of the night I had to leave, and I actually checked into a different hotel across the street. It was still comparable to a Motel 6. But they had more shit going on. The sheets were at least fucking changed. But I agree with you, Joe. If I had to answer, it would be the same thing. It would be that fucking weird ass hotel in Mexico. And when you're going to Mexico already, I hate to say it, I don't necessarily need a resort when I travel somewhere. But if I travel to a place like
that security.
If I travel to a place like Mexico, I'd like that security, to be honest. I'd like a wall. I'd like to get experience. I'd like some decent food. Just because of all the things that can go wrong in a place like that. No offense to all our Mexico listeners. I know there's a ton of you. But it is a place for an American to try to get a little bit more security. But anyway, moving on. Thanks for that question, Brady. Where did that other question go? Okay. This next one comes from Brad Porch. Rack. Favorite sport to bet on? Football, basketball, baseball, soccer, or anything else that you like to bet on?
Favorite to bet on? I really enjoy betting on football, but if I'm being honest, the most enjoyable time I have on laying some wood down is during college basketball March Madness season. I truly just think in terms of picking dogs and just picking like random, you know, underdogs that you think have no chance to win and seeing them come through. Every game is exciting. There's a million of them on. So you can just go back to back to back to back to back, especially when it's early on in the NCAA March Madness tournament. Give me NCAA basketball. I think it's just a fun watch, man.
Yeah, I mean that one's up there for me too. The only thing with that is I just hate that it's a game of runs, and I hate that you can be up 10 and then all of a sudden you go to the bathroom and you come back out and you're down 2, and that I find that so infuriating. So I love to do it, but I don't know if it's necessarily my favorite. Although it is up there. I tell you what, this guy didn't even list it. when you got some money on some puck,
You love hockey. Yeah, you love hockey.
is just so there's no other game that I don't necessarily find that interesting to watch. Certainly in the regular season, I love playoff hockey. But when you put some money on a team, all of a sudden it's the most interesting game in the entire world. And
I got a couple games for you tonight, Tick.
let's put some money on some puck tonight.
I
Yeah,
got the Vegas Golden Knights and I got the Carolina Hurricanes.
Oh, I saw you had the Hurricane. Yeah, you put some decent wood on the Hurricanes. So, but yeah, so hockey would be
a little cheddar.
Or college football. I love both those things so much. And then obviously just NFL. That's a lot of fun too. Thanks for that question. Moving on. We'll do two more, Joe, and then we'll get out of here. We got one from Ian Baines. Actually, you got to get out of here in a few minutes. We'll do one more. We'll do
no, we'll do two more. I came
late.
We'll do two more.
Okay. This is Ian Baines. He wants to know, when will we have a Sportsman Live episode?
That'd be nice. I got to be honest. It's been really fun watching the progression of the Sportsmen get larger and get bigger, and people are actually like excited to see it out. I remember, the very beginning stages when Tick and I would put out an episode, and then you'd get another one 4 weeks later. The origins of the 300 faithful. No, I think if we keep getting bigger and like there's a demand for it, I would love to do something like that. I think, maybe do it at a sports bar before a big game. We could do a little Q&A or something and just get people interested. I don't know if we're there yet. I don't want to toot our horn too early, but I definitely could see it trending towards that direction as we get bigger. And people want to do something. Maybe we could do something with a get together. Maybe next time we're in New York, we do a little breezy lounge get together for the Sportsmen. And we got the game on, we got people asking some questions, just a meet and greet. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I think it would definitely happen in the vein of like, at least at this juncture, and then certainly in the next year or so, I think it would happen in a situation where maybe we would put on a little event where we would do a Bob Does Sports podcast, and then a Brilliantly Dumb Show podcast, and then a Sportsman podcast, and you sort of get all three in a row, and you really get your bang for your buck for your money too. You're getting 3 podcasts, you get the guys for an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever it is. I think it would come in something like that, a package deal. And then hopefully, we keep doing this another 5 years. Maybe we're just throwing our own live events, but who knows?
Never know. By the way, some of our best episodes have Perez on them. So
that's true. People up
Perez is a true he's a true sportsman.
He's a needle mover at that.
Yeah, he is. God love that man.
So we'll do one more. And this one comes from Sergio Martinez. Best and worst moments of the pod for 2023.
Best and worst moments.
I'll give you the worst real quick.
Okay.
Worst. It's obviously me being 1-14. That's a worst moment for me, at least. Some are calling it impressive. Some are saying, wow, that's just as hard as going 14-1, which I agree with. But personally, in my heart and in my head, it's been tougher to sleep at night. Sure. It's definitely been.
I give you best moment of 2023 is bringing Mikey on board to the Sportsman. I think was it last year?
It was last year.
I thought it was the beginning of this year.
I'm almost positive it was like November of. Oh, you know what? Yeah, well, fuck it. Yeah, just say that's the best. It was around. it was either
I would just say having him as the addition. Maybe it was last year, but I think it was early this year. Regardless, I'm using that. You can take it with a grain of salt. And then worst, bringing Mikey on. No, I'm just no. I would say I don't really think we've had any worse moments. I'll also say the best thing that we've done for the Sportsman Pod this year is our consistency in getting episodes out and really being held accountable. And I think that that's attributed to the amount of effort and just continued dedication that we have from our editor and chief, Mr. Anderson, the guy who just goes to work behind the scenes, is always there sending us rundowns, being there, coming up with new segments. I really think that it's changed the whole landscape and dynamic of this podcast, and we couldn't be more thrilled to have him as an integral member of our Sportsman team. And I don't think we have had a worst. I think that I think that this is a good pod and it's fun, and I'm not going to single-handedly maybe me saying the Packers are back after 2 weeks of them freaking looking good and then having my heart ripped out. But I really don't think we've had any really bad. I will say, Ticket getting into it a couple on that one episode with Mikey was both enjoyable and devastating at the same time. So I don't know
I
if
thought
we've
that
really
was
had
pretty
a.
funny. I watched that back. I thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I don't think we've had a worst moment. I think it's all been good, and we love this podcast. We love doing it. And we love the people who support it. So maybe
Lord
a
knows,
cheesy answer, but that's what I'm going to stick with.
Lord knows you've gotten into it with Mikey a time or two on the Brilliantly Dumb show. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Sometimes you got to give. Sometimes you got to put him in his place.
Sure. I mean, sometimes he's got all the answers. And you know what? I was there that day to tell him that he didn't. Okay. And I echo all your sentiments about Mr. Anderson. There's so many times where if the three of us were just left to our own devices, certainly if me and you were, and we were for a time,
Well,
we
we've shown
don't get
it.
it together. We don't find time. We don't. So he's sort of the captain. He's the coach. He's making sure we show up to practice every day, making sure we show up ready for the games. Like
Yep.
he's got new segments. He's keeping this thing chugging along. He's running the Instagram. He's doing all these things, and that we really, truly would be nowhere without him, I think, or we'd just be an inconsistent mess as we were before him. But anyway, that's another edition of the Sportsman. We hope that you guys enjoy us breaking it up. We're getting 2 episodes a week. Let us know how you feel about that. Stay tuned for next week with the Prove Me Wrong. We want to hear you guys takes on that as well. And as always, that was Mikey V. He's no longer here, but that was him. We got Joey D joining us a little late, but better late than never. And I am the Big Ticket. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube and the Instagram. Fire your questions in there, and Mr. Anderson will bring them back to us, and we will answer them on the show. And that's another edition, guys. We will see you next week.